Yeah, welcome everybody. My name is Luis Vega. If you don't know, I posted a video a couple of days ago, or two videos really, saying that I was going to do a quick breakdown over how you determine what you should be charging, what your price should be, and how you should manage your costs in order to run an efficient business. And also going to introduce the concept of value to a lot of people. I know a lot of people don't really understand, the differences in price, cost, and value. I didn't go too much into value last time because it's a more thorough concept, and I definitely wanted to have something that you guys could grasp visually in order to be able to do it. And I really apologize for this. So the laptop's lower down. It should actually be somewhere around that level so you guys could actually interact with me and everything. But it's just a brand new thing. I barely started doing this and I'm trying to get my feet wet so I can get against it, right? So okay, we're gonna jump right in. That way we're not wasting a lot of time. I'm gonna just pull up the whiteboard and then I'm gonna stop recording my video. Well, I'm just gonna leave it on because originally I was gonna be drawing on the screen, but I really can't. It doesn't work out very well since I don't have a pen. So here. Last time, whenever I did the videos, right, I defined cost as the monetary investment or investment of any other form of value, attention, attention, time that you as a business owner assume to provide service. So here we're mainly going to be focusing on the main concept, which is money. Okay, of course, everybody here is just, if you're here, you're barely getting introduced to the concept of money and how money really works. So that's what we're going to focus on. But you got to understand that all these other things, information, attention, and time, those are all things that you use to provide value. I'm sorry, y'all. I keep looking at the camera over here because I'm trying to make sure that I look okay. I gotta move it. There you go. So these are the things that you in some way, shape, or form can use to provide value to your client. And I just want to make sure that you guys have them present right off the bat. I'm going to define them again separately later on. That way you guys can actually see it and understand where I'm coming from. So that's your cost, correct? Now your price. If we've determined that the cost is what you pay in order to provide a service, then the price in this case is the customer pays in order for that service to be provided to them. So what the customer pays for the service, right? So of course, I'm just gonna go ahead and add value down here. That way you guys have it. What is it worth to the customer? And those are the ways: time, attention, and money, information. So information, time, and attention, those are the things that are going to bring value to the customer. I keep going back and forth because I'm just trying to go through this. I did not outline it. I'm just doing it on the fly. I have my basic information that I know I have to cover, and I have the basic breakdown of how to do it. And I'm just rolling with it. But yeah, this is what it's worth to the customer. So say for example, if you're charging $300 for a detail, you might think, oh my God, that is outrageous. Why would I charge so much? But if you're going out there and it's taking you 3 or 4 hours to be able to do that detail, you're realistically only making about, $75 an hour, 75 to $100 an hour on average. And you think, yeah, I mean that's quite a bit, but you got to think you got to take away the cost of material, the cost of travel if you're mobile, the cost of gas, the cost of maintenance. All these things are costs that we assume to be able to provide a service, correct? These things have to be taken into account to determine price. So value is going to be this intrinsic thing that is going to be hard to grasp until you get to know your clients. Every client is going to value something differently, but you can always create a high value proposition based on product and product quality rather than client necessity. That way you can actually attract the clients that need the service you're providing rather than have to hunt down somebody that you have to convince. And that's never what you want to be doing in your business. Everybody should always be coming to you for what you can provide to them. So yeah, value is an outside concept. Correct. This has nothing to do with what it's costing you. This has nothing to do with the price, not yet. not until you've determined how much you have to make in order to actually cover your cost. Now, I briefly covered this without writing it previously, but these are the things that we're basically looking at whenever it's like the cost of operation. Whenever I was going through the list in the previous thing, I'm sorry, I had to finish that thought. So the cost of operation, these are the things that we have taken into account as detailers, right? Maintenance on our equipment. This is shop vacs. This is extractors, steamers, towels, which I know those don't really need maintenance, but if you consider washing them maintenance, you still have to pay for laundry detergent, you have to pay for maintenance in the machine they use to wash them, or laundromat, or whatever it is, whatever method you're using to wash those towels. So it's all an expense in some way or another. You have to account for it. It's different. It's harder to account for the maintenance and all those kind of things, but that's where you should start deriving how much you need to make to clear it. And that's where you pass on those expenses to the customers, which once you've assumed enough risk to prove yourself, eventually as a client that is willing to assume more risks to work with you. That's always the kind of environment that you want to create. You don't want to be begging for work. You don't want to be, hassling anybody to give you an extra dollar. You want to create customers that are going to love what you do so much they're going to give you more than you're asking them for. Okay, that's the kind of clientele that you want to get ideally, because that's the kind of clientele that keeps you fulfilled, that keep you happy, and that you can continue to work with in the future. Because if you're working with somebody who wants to nickel and dime you every time they see you, you're gonna get tired of it eventually. Okay, that's not what you want to do. So, of course, maintenance of our equipment. Then we have our actual material costs, which again, towels. I need to change the color of this thing here. Pages. Oh my God. Okay, I'm just gonna run with it. Right. So, gotta change now. Oh, I need text. How about that? There we go. Let's get rid of this. Really? Oh my God, guys, this is not working out for a second. Whatever. So, maintenance. That's right off the bat, right? So we're counting maintenance on not just the things that I already mentioned, like I'm gonna just go ahead and type them in again. And all those. But you also got to account for, oil changes in your truck, brakes, brake pads, tires. Like all of this is wear and tear. This is all stuff that adds up to what we have to pay. This isn't something that just magically gets taken care of because we decided that we wanted to detail and now our vehicle is just going to perfectly run. No, you're going to have those days where you're going to be going to a job and your trailer and might have a blowout. And it's happened to me. That's why I say it like that's a perfect example because I was on my way out to a job and freaking my trailer just had a blowout. The tire was blown up all the way. And it's just because it had too much weight for those tires. I should have been using different tires, and that was my mistake. But what I'm trying to say is that that was an extra expense that I had not accounted for because I hadn't been thinking about it to that extent. I didn't know that all that stuff had to be accounted for in some way, shape, or form. And no, it's not you have to be charging for every single thing every single time because what we're trying to determine here is how much money we have put in, right? Which if you're taking the truck into consideration, I mean, minimum you're looking at 10 grand to have a vehicle that you can safely operate and be dragging around. So you can't charge somebody 10 grand every time because that's what it costs you. But you can kind of figure out, okay, it costs me $60 every 3 months to get an oil change. That's a cost of operation. Every 30,000 miles, I'm going to need new tires, which I'm not sure if that's the actual amount. I haven't really replaced them. I usually replace them whenever I start seeing them get faded. I don't ever look at the mileage on the tires. That way I just know that I'm in the safe zone. That's I want to make sure that my vehicle is taken care of. So as soon as I see any wear and tear that's beyond what I'm comfortable with, I just get it replaced instead of looking at the mileage because I know I drive a lot more and a lot more tedious scenarios than what these vehicles are tested in. Because I live, like I said before, I live in the oil field, so there's no really anything else for me to do. So yeah, you have maintenance on all these things, right? It's you got to think about it. That this is just every month you got to account for at least $400 or $500 of extra money that's just to take care of the maintenance on your equipment. You might not do it every month, but every month you might have something come up that you were not accounting for. So if you can put $500 off to the side just to maintain your equipment, that's a good thing to do. In order to be able to do that, you need to charge the right amount. So here is what we're assuming the cost in as far as having the equipment to provide the service, not just the maintenance on the equipment, but actually having the equipment because we can't provide the service unless we have all this stuff, right? Unless you really, really wanted to do it and take your time doing a hand wash with a garden hose, if your water works for it, then yeah, you can just always do it outside. But that's not the goal. The goal is not to spend 6 hours on a car unless you can charge $600, $700 for that, which you can probably. But here, right? Power washer. We're just gonna be we're gonna be conservative. We're gonna say $200 because I know a lot of people use those electric power washers from like Ryobi, I think, which they're great, or the Greenworks ones. I had one when I first started out and I loved it. But the way I had my equipment set up, I actually just demolished it. The tank kept hitting up against it because I just had it in the back of the pickup. And it was just the power washer would go in between the tank and the truck. And every time that I would brake or speed up too fast, it was just, and eventually it broke. But you look at $200 for that. Let's say your steamer, minimum 150. I'm just looking at bare minimums, what you need to do. I'm not considering if you have a mighty extractor, it costs you 1,200 bucks, or if you have a shop location that you need to pay rent for, because that's all completely different things and it's completely different numbers. I'm just gonna list everything out real quick. Um, in my case, I have a trailer, which it's like an $800 trailer. I have a tote for my water tank that I paid $50 for. And then I have my towels, my chemicals. Scroll down. Can I not scroll down here? What the hell? Okay, I'm just gonna drag this up here and keep going because this is ridiculous. Chemicals, towels, chemical, brushes, detail brushes. Like this lot, towels. I think I buy a pack of 20 for about 12 bucks. Or no, 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 no. That's ridiculous. 22 expensive ass towels. And the chemical, oh my gosh, just think about how many chemicals we're adding in. I am looking about my wax is about $40 for a gallon. My tire dressing is about $40. So that's $80 right there. And it's about $20 or 15 to 20 for my gallons of APC, interior cleaner, wheel and tire cleaner, and bug spray. So that's another $40. So let's say about $120 in chemicals because you have to buy them by the gallon. Otherwise, it will just be pointless. And then my detail brushes and all those extra miscellaneous things. Let's say an extra $200 just because everybody has different things that they want to put in. But this is just to be able to provide a bare minimum detail, where you can just go top to bottom, vacuum it, use detail brushes on the inside. You can take stains out with the extractor. You can take any really tough things out with a steamer. So you're an experienced detailer at this stuff, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're looking for using water-based products. You're not harming the paint. You're not overselling yourself, and you're not overselling the product. You know what you can do. You recognize your skills. You want to work within your skills, correct? So if we add this all up, we're looking at, let's say 300, 450, 1250, 1300, 1322, 1442, 1642, 1842. So this adds up to a total of 18 and $42. So literally you're spending this much money. You're spending over $1,500, 1,500, exactly $1,842 if we do this exact addition, right? To be able to provide this service with these vehicles. And again, this is not counting your, you know, not counting $5,000 to $10,000 truck or pickup. And again, bare minimum, because this is how I started out and it's how I've built myself up. So at this level, you got to realize you have so much money invested to be able to provide this service. You're putting wear and tear on all this stuff. So you have to be able to charge for this. Now, the way that you want to break this down, you look at how many details do I want to be doing realistically? How many details can I handle? What days do I want to have off? And you have to decide. I know it sounds crazy. It's like take days off. Why would I take this off? I want to get as much work as possible. For me, it was about getting more time with my family. So I wanted to be able to not stress about anything going on. And right now I don't because, my insurance comes out to $450 a month when it comes to vehicle insurance and my business insurance. So if I do two jobs in a day, I could basically cover that because I'll make $400 to $500. So I don't get concerned if it's 2 days before the deadline because I have all my clients there. Anytime that I need them, they're there for me whenever they don't need me. It's a really interesting relationship because they kind of understand that I've been pushing in this direction and they understand that I've been taking care of their vehicle. So we've kind of had this working relationship now where sometimes I can just hit them up and be like, hey, do you guys need a detail? Be like, you know what? I was going to call you till another 2 weeks, but since you hit me up and you're available, let's just go ahead and take care of it. And that helps out a lot, having that peace of mind where it's like I can just go out one day of work and have this stuff paid off, have this stuff taken care of. If you're somebody who has a shop, you don't have to stress over having all those big, ceramic coatings, all the polishing jobs coming in. Even though you can do it at this point, you don't have to worry about them coming in as much because you can manage it with a couple of days of work worth of this stuff. So ideally, what I'd like to shoot for is 2 to 3 details a day and having at least 4 days off in a month. And I know it's a lot less than most people would do. Most people would do 8. But you think about it like this. Not every month is guaranteed to have the same weekends. So some months might have more, some months might have less. If I take every weekend off, not every month is going to have the same amount of days that I'm working. So I like to take about a day off every week. Sometimes I'll take 2, but I always kind of I set my goals for what I'm trying to do. So if you're doing 2 to 3 details a day, how much do you have to charge in order to clear what you're making? So if every month you want to clear the bare minimum 1842 and you're doing 2 to 3 details a day, let's say we said 4 days off, so 26 days a week. Okay, I'm gonna write this down right here. Per day, 26 days per month. I don't know why I said week. So yeah, 2 to 3 diesels per day, 26 days per month. You got to divide out what you have to make bare minimum to clear your expenses, correct? So 1842 divided out by 26. What does that give? Grab my cell phone. Let me use a calculator. Let's see. Here you go. 1842 divided by 26. You have to make at least $70 every day. And that's just to clear your bare minimum expenses to be able to keep operating, correct? And it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but whenever you're charging $30, $40, that's 2 details, 3 details. And if you're taking 2 to 3 hours to detail, you need to make a lot more. You know what I mean? Because this isn't going to let you eat. And those $70 a day, that's not going to cover you getting your equipment. It's not going to cover, your household expenses. It's not going to cover any extra unprecedented things, which by the way, I didn't even add the other 500 on there. let's add those 500 that said you want to keep into account just for maintenance. So this number actually goes up to 2342. So 2342 divided by 26. 2342 divided by 26. So it comes up to about $90 a day. Now, what's another big expense that's not on here? Taxes. And taxes is actually going to be probably your biggest expense. So you have to account for the fact that now you're paying yourself, you're generating income. The government is going to want their cut. You can never ignore the taxes. This is going to take off 30% of whatever you charge right off the bat. So you have to realize that. If you need to make $90 a day and you're doing, let's see, $500 in detailing every day. And I keep saying these numbers because these are the numbers that I want everybody to understand. These are the numbers that you ideally want to be at to keep your detailing business going, to feel fulfilled, to feel happy, and to do the job properly. Everybody who has been doing this for a long time understands that if you are getting to the details, you're going to be there for a while. So you can't be saying, unless you have people that are working with you and you have a team, maybe like 2 to 3 people, maybe 3 or 4 if you have a good system, then yeah, you might be able to knock out a large SUV in an hour and a half, 2 hours. But if you're a solo detailer like I was, if you want to make an SUV like a soccer mom car pop, you're gonna spend about an hour vacuuming because there's so much crap all over the place. And then you're gonna spend about another hour cleaning up the inside, another hour on the outside, and then you're going to go back and do the details. So it's going to be about a 4 hour process. And that's probably what it's going to take even with the newer car because whenever I'm not doing a long vacuuming, I'm taking extra time to wipe down the new creases, the extra crevices and stuff that I don't normally get to get because my 4 hour window is my time limit for a large SUV, for a large detail as you should have time limits. Everybody should have time limits for every detail they set. Otherwise, you won't be able to control your schedule. That's what kind of raises anxiety whenever you just know you have to go do a detail, but you're like, I don't know how long it's going to take. Well, if you say to yourself, I'm going to take 2 hours for a two-door sedan or for a two-door coupe, excuse me, or for like 2.5 hours for a four-door sedan, maybe 2.5 for a two-row SUV or two-row micro SUV, a crossover maybe if you have that defined in your head, then you understand and you know, okay, I'm going to go somewhere at 10 a.m. I'll be there for 2.5 hours. I'll be out of there by 12:50. I can go out. I can grab lunch. I have to be at my other detail by 3. And that is going to take me 4 hours. I'll be home by 7. Okay. You have just freaking created your schedule because you have dictated one, your price. You know how much money you're going to make. You know what you want to charge, and you're not underselling or undervaluing yourself any longer. 2, you have created time constraints for yourself that work within the value proposition that you can create for a client. And I didn't even finish this earlier, but it seems like $300 for 3 or 4 hours worth of work is a lot. But you have to consider the fact that some people make that in 20 minutes. You know, some people make $300 in 20 minutes. For people, and this might be ridiculous to a lot of you, like, why are you thinking of Jeff Bezos? Because that's the example I'm going to use, or Bill Gates. There was an old saying or an old information snippet going around, which basically calculated how much money Bill Gates made over the course of a year and then divided it up over a day and then over hours and then eventually over seconds. And it basically got broken down to the point where it said Bill Gates, it would cost Bill Gates more money to stop and pick up $100 bill and waste that 1 or 2 seconds picking it up than it would for him just ignore it and keep walking because he makes more than $100 per second just because that's the kind of income that it generates. Now you think about it, okay, yeah, that's Bill Gates. Who else could make that kind of money? Lawyers. Lawyers can get paid up to $5,000 an hour just because that's how much their time is worth. A doctor who runs their own practice, another business person, maybe an oil field mogul, car collector. There's so many people that fit this criteria that would be able to make this kind of money. And even if there's not, there's still people that make $100 to $200 an hour that would just rather spend that time with their family or doing something else instead of spending 4 hours detailing their vehicle. So even if they're making the same amount of money that you are, they're willing to exchange the money for the time that they want because that's how people at the highest echelons of life behave. They're willing to trade money for time, money for life. They will expend a monetary thing that they will not keep after they're dead in order to experience something else or to be able to do more things with their time. Because the time that they could be using to detail their car, maybe it's somebody that runs a foundation. They could be helping out orphans. That to them, it's more valuable to go out and do their work than it is to spend time detailing their car. But it is still worth it something to them because they have to upload an image to have a good looking car. Another great example would be a basketball player. Those that live in, basketball cities. Michael Jordan, one big example, he would never get in a dirty car. And what I mean by that is that if it was raining, he would have them drive the car to the car wash, detail the inside, and bring it to him before he got in the car, even if it was raining, because he would not get in a car that had not just been detailed. That was his standard as a business person. He understood that the NBA was more than just him going out there and playing basketball and then turning it around and just being famous and enjoying all that. He knew that he had something to do so he would be okay after he was done. And he looked at himself and his body as a business. It's the weirdest thing to consider, but literally Michael Jordan, if you look at his business mentality, he understood that his body was his investment. These are the people that you're working with. These are the people that you want to be targeting because you don't want the person that's going to bring you a trashed out SUV that's going to take 8 hours to get done. And you're not going to feel comfortable doing for that long because they're only paying you $60. And you're going to be like, why the heck would I break my back for 8 hours just for $60? It's not going to work out. Right. So that's kind of how we get to the very last few things. Let me just finish up here with the taxes real quick and with this cost. So I'm gonna reel it back in. I apologize for going so far off topic. I just kind of had to get that out there. But right, so we were saying, right, your at expenses at 24 at $2,432 equal out to about $90 per day, right? We can agree on that. That's how much you have to make per day just for that. Okay. But let's say, for example, you only made $90 that day, right? You have to give 30% of that away right away because that's where your taxes have to go from. So in reality, you only made $60. And think about this, these $60 are not even $60 that you made a profit or that you still have to take your cost out of. This is just the $60 that are covering your cost. So at this point, let's do the math again because I divided it by 26 days. So if you do 60 times 26, you're actually you only have 15 1560 $1,460. That's all you actually have made. So at this point, you actually still owe an additional $872 to yourself just to be able to keep your business running. Okay. I know everybody right now is probably looking at their computer like, oh my God, this is insane because I did the same thing. But okay. Yeah, you still need an additional $872 to be able to break even in your business. So now you really start thinking, oh my God, I really, really can't do this. I can't do just this much money. And I said this in one of the comments a little bit back, but this is where information and this is where knowledge can really bring things together for you. Because we don't even have to sit there and prorate these things. If we know how much money we're going to spend on maintenance or just because this is how much we have to make to be able to cover that, then let's just have our client take care of it. You know what I mean? I'm already taking care of the insurance. I have all the information. I've gotten all the resources ready. I've shown up on time. I've done my part of the job. All I need you to do is take care of my business. Interesting way to put it. But the thing is they want to have somebody to work with. They desperately, most clients desperately want somebody that they can trust with their vehicle because it's really hard to come across. It really is with all these retailers that are detailing at a lower level and people that are coming off of TikTok. And I'm sorry to say, if you start off of TikTok and you're trying to take it seriously, I'm proud of you if you are trying to take it seriously. But if you don't know the difference between using APC on paint and using bug remover or paint safe things on paint, things that are not going to dilute or degress or damage the clear coat over time, regardless of how they're being used, you should not be at this course. You need to be still figuring your shit out because all you're going to do is you're going to damage the reputation of the people that are detailing at this level. The reason that I want to do these courses is because I want everybody to raise the expectations and to raise the standard of the detailing industry because that's the only way that we're going to maintain it thriving. We're going to continue to thrive only if we can raise the standards of it. And you can't do that whenever nobody wants to do it properly and nobody actually thinks that they can do it. So, one, I'm trying to justify the value proposition that you have for yourself and for your client. Two, I'm trying to make sure that you understand that these numbers don't just pop out of thin air. There's a reason that people are charging $200 to $300 because at this point we haven't even considered your time yet, which is another part of the equation for price. I'm about to write down the equation for price. That way you guys can have it in front of you. But really, really consider that. Like we haven't even covered any of those things. I'm about to get rid of this, right? So if you guys want to take a picture, take a screenshot, whatever you need to do, just go ahead and do it. I'm gonna delete this one. I'm gonna delete the other one, but I'm gonna give you guys a chance. Okay, that was the first one deleted. Now, if you guys want to go ahead and copy this, I'm gonna just leave it on here for a second. Okay, you can pause it. You can do whatever you need to, but oh my God, what? Okay, whatever. I don't know why it's not letting me select over the other one. Okay. So now that I've given you guys this whole run around, I guess everybody probably wants to know how you determine price. Price is the equal of your cost of operation plus your desired hourly rate, which again, you set your prices. You know what I mean? There's somebody that's going to be willing to pay what you're asking at some level to some extent. You're the one who decides how many no's you get. You're the one who decides how many clients you want to get. You got to understand if you're charging more, you will get less clientele, but you might get higher quality clientele. If somebody's willing to pay you $1,000 to detail to do a quick detail, and I just mean quick vacuum, reseal or recoat everything on the inside, recoat the exterior with like 6 month coating, and maybe even do a quick polish, maybe. No, I mean, this course for people without polishes. There might be somebody who's willing to pay you without doing a polish. I mean, that's just how crazy the world is. So yeah, your desired hourly rate, yours, not anybody else's, because I'm not trying to get you to set a price that's just gonna fit and fix with what I'm thinking. No, no, no. I want you to determine what you're trying to charge and what you're worth. I want everybody to have the opportunity. So it's your cost of operation plus your desired hourly rate. And that makes, of course, less the tax expense. It's cool, huh? You look at it like this, and it's like this is pretty simple. It's a lot easier. And this is going to be a philosophy that you need to hold on to yourself. If it has to be based on what you want to do. My desire for this company, my desire for my detailing business is to be able to give people what they're worth, make sure that they're confident, they're fulfilled, they're happy, they have a family life. That's what I want to do for my employees. I don't want to make money off my employees. Oddly enough, I really don't. I want to make sure that they're taken care of. I want to make sure the business is taken care of, but that's so that it can take care of them. You know what I mean? That way it creates a mutual love relationship between the business and the men that are working for the business, men and women. I don't want any ladies out there to feel left out because I do have quite a few ladies in mind that I've already thought about hiring on. We've already discussed it. And I actually have a ton of respect for the fact that women have such great attention to detail. Anytime that I've detailed with a lady, with a female individual, I have never had to explain to them, you have to really take care of what you're cleaning. They have just naturally acclimated and attuned to getting it cleaned properly. And that's something that I really respect because with a lot of men that I've worked with, it's been difficult to get them, to hone in. And it's interesting because a lot of people with OCD and ADHD, like a lot of detailers on here, just like I do, like I have that, not diagnosed, but easy to recognize all the crazy traits that go on. Um, so with all that, man, I lost my train of thought. Yeah. So I want my I'm sorry guys. I want my employees and my business to take care of each other, right? And I want to take care of them in whatever way I can. So if I do want a profit margin, it's just a profit margin for expansion. That's really all I want to focus on. Keep the business expanding because the more that the business grows, the higher the value of it goes, right? So it might not necessarily be that the money is making a lot of the company is making a lot of money, but as long as it's generating money, then the company's worth is going to go up, right? Because it's not just the government, but everybody understands that a company that generates wealth, that generates, expansion, that generates good environments and good people and stuff like that, it's something that's highly valued because our country literally runs on business, on small businesses. Because if you think about it, every big business, every major corporation started out as a small business. Everything that runs this nation started out with pioneers looking to do their best in any one course. I think I'm reaching a time limit on this thing. I don't know how much time I have to record, so I'm just going to try to go through this quickly. But yeah, so your tax expenses, like we said before, is going to be about 30%. And the reason I would like to do this way is because I'm going to hire my people based on my cost, the commission that I'm going to pay them, probably like a 30 to 40% commission. So again, 30% taxes, 30% for the commission, and I'm keeping that last little bit as cost of operation, my profit. But again, the cost of operation, you want to pass that on to the customer because then you can keep that extra money, that extra window for yourself. You can keep that little extra bit. So my prices right now sit about 180. That's what I'm going to do across the board for most vehicles. I'm going to do probably 240 to 250 for a large SUV and a dually. Previously, I was doing 120 for two-door coupes. I was doing 150 for a four-door sedan, 180 or 160 for a regular four-door pickup, which would be like a 1500. But then if it was like a 2500, it would be 180. And then of course, $200 for an SUV and the dually. And that made me happy. I was comfortable with what I was doing. However, I was not removing the things that I had to be removing. I've been more focused on expansion than anything else. I knew that these last 3 months are going to be focused on massive growth and that I was going to skyrocket. So I need to stop this.